That's right. We are shouting right back at the devil, the New World Order.
He's a wolf screaming lonely in the night. He's a blood-stained on the stage. He's a tear in your eyes, being tempted by his life. He's a knife in your neck, he's rage. Well, he's a raging to the night, no longer he's alive. My head's spinning round and round. But he's a seal gold worthy of standing there to let him be strong.
We better start standing up and doing more than shouting at these private bankers. By the way, I meant to print it. I was on thomas.loc.gov and thought, hey, why don't I check out that Ron Paul bill to audit the private Federal Reserve? And I want to say it had 116 sponsors. I'll pull it up during the break. And I hit print. It didn't print when I left my house. I got to get a new printer. That thing's really doing weird stuff. People are like, why don't you just surf the internet while you're on air? Well, that would take time. You got to have them all printed out in the stack of stuff. Well, I think Limbaugh has a stack of stuff because with the internet, you can't be scanning around. Even if you have it bookmarked, you know, computers freeze up and do stuff. You got to have it in your hand. Besides, I've actually got to go into thomas.loc.gov and here on the spot, my brain works so good until I'm on the spot on air. What is that? HR 1206, I think. Yeah, that's the bill number, and it's 1207. There you go. Good. Well, I'll pull it up. Doesn't matter. Some good news there. So this whole swine flu thing, and it's not swine flu. Pigs don't have it. Pigs aren't spreading it. That's been confirmed. The governments have admitted that from day one. The Hog Association here in the United States, whatever its name is, they've said, look, our pigs aren't dying. That is not the case. China's killing a bunch of pigs. Middle East is killing the pigs. Egypt's killing all its pigs. It's ridiculous. This is so people don't think, wait a minute, this came from a lab. Where did this virus come from? That's why day one the establishment says, oh my gosh, it is a pig virus. And then they get to sell billions and billions of dollars of vaccines. They get to sell billions and billions of dollars of Tamiflu. Right here in Austin, Texas, Tuesday morning, they had big 18-wheelers full of Tamiflu pull into a facility down by the airport, the old airport being guarded by police, 20-plus police cars. We got some footage of it. Everybody out there freaking out. They've set up emergency tents at the Children's Hospital outside for pandemics. And then they've been fear-mongering behind the scenes, telling the health authorities at the state level, we've confirmed this. Oh, we're really at level 6. But we don't want to panic the public. Oh, it's so deadly. Oh, there have been hundreds of deaths in Mexico from it. Meanwhile, 30-plus thousand deaths a year in the U.S., tens of thousands of deaths in Mexico every year, hundreds and hundreds of thousands, on average 200-plus thousand a year, worldwide from normal flus, generally old folks or folks that get dehydrated. You know, it can kill you, especially if you live alone. It's usually folks that live alone. They don't get out of bed for 3 days. They don't drink water, and they die. You know, well, cold can kill you. Pneumonia can kill you. No Americans have died. One person who was sick in Mexico City got brought up here to die. A 23-month-old toddler who had health problems his whole poor life. Sorry for the child. But he had poor health his whole life, and it's very sad. But the issue here is, why then did the media and the governments hype this? They did it because the economy's imploding. Chrysler went under. There's all this news. It was coming to a head that Obama's expanding the wars, continuing the torture, continuing the secret arrest, moving people from Guantanamo to secret camps overseas and building new ones here in the U.S. and Wyoming, of all places. All of this going on and happening, saying, no, we're going to keep the secret tribunals. All of this. Now it's not in the news. Now it's not being discussed. I'm going to take a lot of calls today with your take on this situation. 877-590-5525. 877-590-5525. Now, I know folks in Mexico have trouble calling toll-free numbers. So dial 512-836-0590 for our namesake, the station we broadcast out of, syndicate out of, News Radio 590 KLBJ. It's 512-836-0590 from folks in Mexico. We did get some YouTube videos posted from reporters known by me as being credible in the past, up on Infowars.com for Godlike Productions and others. And they're down there reporting that, and then I did confirm, my wife speaks and reads Spanish, so I printed off some articles, showed them to her. I did confirm that you have Mexico City locked down in areas for food and water getting in. The stores are empty in many cases, and people began demonstrating and had some small riots over the fact that there's running out of food and water. And there's video of the riot police marching off to go after them in Mexico City up on Infowars.com. And that was about 36 hours ago. That broke Friday night. So all of this is going on. So it's a man-made crisis out of this hysteria. And they're pulling people off planes who are sweating and have a fever. They in the United States, they're in North Carolina, have checkpoints, and if you're sick, you disappear. At the border, if you're sick as U.S. citizens, they drag you off to quarantine. They're quarantining hotels in Canada, the U.S., Europe, China. All of this fear-mongering for something that's killed. The documented number is 12 people. They say it might have killed a couple hundred worldwide. There's a few thousand cases worldwide. This is ridiculous. But meanwhile, they're announcing to you the new rules. Okay, Americans. Okay, Canadians. Okay, Australians. Australia's really fear-mongering. We may have to lock down the cities. You may have to get 14-day supply of food and water. We may lock down buildings. They've already done that. Towns, counties, cities, states. And forcibly inoculate you. And they're telling you the executive orders of the news. And you're going to have to lose your rights under martial law. That term is being used on Fox and CBS and CNN. We've got all the clips. In fact, I'll play one later. All of this is going on. All of this is happening for nothing. It's a psyop. And they said, we think this flu may mutate in the fall, so you better take your forced inoculation then. So this is kind of a primer. And then we also noticed they had unprecedented FEMA drills all over the United States, from Austin, Texas to New York City, just everywhere, of forced inoculations at schools, from Alaska to Dallas, Texas, drills of forced inoculations. You just Google inoculation drill, that were scheduled months ago for this last week and next week so people would comply and be part of it. They've had drills everywhere. They've had mass FEMA camp drills and mass grave drills, and they've been calling. We've documented and linked up the mainstream news articles and the internal documents. Mass graves confirmed, Infowars.com. Just Google that. It'll come up because we have a data page with all the mainstream links. Rocky Mountain News admitting mobile incinerators, mass graves being prepared. All of this for months and months and months and months before this at a level of activity we've never seen before, because they decided to just hype some man-made virus that no doubt some government lab or private lab put out, so they can now hype that they've got the vaccine in the fall and then reintroduce something new. Or maybe they know it's going to mutate. We don't know, but I'm telling you, this has got all the hallmarks of a total operation, and there's no doubt that virus is manufactured, period. So am I ranting? Yes. I'm upset about this because I've been telling you for years. I believe their next move will be a staged bioweapons release, and I said on record, I know these people, they'll have some false flag, false start beta tests first to practice their federal takeovers. And most of the political scientists say that by next fall, next winter, definitely by next summer, maybe even this summer. They're already happening in Europe, Eastern Europe, Asia, riots over the collapsing economy, over the police state, all this. And then every time you try to go out and take over your government, take your government back, they'll release a bioweapon or a biosim. That's what this clearly is. And lock everything down in the name of keeping everybody safe. Okay, now when we come back, I'm going to take phone calls. But next hour, I'm going to let you know about the latest gun grab. And this is serious and a lot more. Your call straight ahead. Yeah, if you want to read the treaty, go up to Infowars.com. You can go read it for yourself. It states that civilian ownership of firearms will be completely curtailed for a power monopoly of the state. Power monopoly of the state's a nice way to say dictatorship. That's the criminal UN, bought and paid for by the big banks, openly setting up a new bank of the world you'll pay your carbon taxes to. And it'll be just like China is today, or Nazi Germany was, or Soviet Russia. When you're disarmed, the government can suck everything it wants off of you, while the offshore banks sit outside the tyrannical nations and play them off against each other. And yes, it's 112 co-sponsors so far on record at thomas.gov, title to amend Title 31 United States Code to reform the manner in which the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve System is audited by the Comptroller General of the United States, and the manner in which such audits are reported, and for other purposes. And it's written by Ron Paul. Congressman Ron Paul now has 112 sponsors, up from 80-something a couple of weeks ago. He had, 87 sponsors when he was on the show a week and a half ago? Just absolutely amazing to have that going on and happening. And back in the 80s, there was a big fracas, and Ron Paul talked about this a few weeks ago on the show about auditing the Fed. So the Fed did a trick. They passed a law saying audit it that said it was illegal to audit it. And the only audit could be of office supplies, so the pencils and chairs, not what the money does. And so now congressmen during these hearings will ask the private Fed head, Bernanke, who's stolen $12.8 trillion so far, according to Bloomberg and AP, to give it to offshore private banks that you pay your taxes to the IRS. That's where the money goes directly. As Reagan said, not one red cent of your tax money and of income tax goes around the nation. It's all the other taxes that do. Literally goes to these private bankers, and Bernanke says, I won't answer the question. I won't say where the money is. I don't have to. In fact, folks don't believe that. Let's play this again later. Google on YouTube for me, Alan Greenspan says Fed above the law from Blair NewsHour.